Okay, so we're going to go over really quickly some ways to set up your year and how to kind of set it and forget it. We're going to talk a little bit about the difference between procedure and systems, and how at the beginning of the year this is the perfect opportunity for you to find the things that you want to set onto your calendar and be able to set up that part of your calendar. So let me go ahead and I'm going to show you some of the different ways that I actually do this.
Okay, so really quickly, just to give you some understanding about what the difference is between a routine, a system, and a procedure. So, routines are things that you're going to try to make sure is a daily occurrence. So, up by blah, blah, downstairs at the table by blah, blah. The goal is going to be a time. So, it's going to be downstairs at the table by 7 a.m., right? Out the door, everything in hand, no later than 8:10, right? So on and so forth. Or in the homeschool environment, it would be like at the table, ready to start learning at 8:10 or by 8:10 or whatever a.m., right? So that's going to be, if we're talking about the idea of routines, that's going to be like an hourly goal. This is by this time, so on and so forth. So that's routine. And then if we talk about systems, systems are going to be when we decide that this is going to be breakfast time, when we decide that this is going to be sit down and do schoolwork time. What are the things that we are going to have ready access to? What is in our environment, right? So the way that I explain it to kids is you think about different gaming platforms, right? You can do something in Minecraft that you can't necessarily do on a PlayStation 5. You can do something on a I'm trying to think of like I'm not good with the gaming apps, but like you can do something in Roblox that you may not be able to do in Minecraft. You can do something in Skyrim that you may not be able to do in Far Cry. Like you can do something in Fortnite that you may. So each of those systems has different access to different things that you are able to do, but also different environments that you are able to access, right? So if we're thinking about the idea of what is our schoolwork system, then that may include things like we have a bin of all of the pencils on the face of the planet because one of us, hi, I'm the problem, it's me. One of us keeps losing pencils. So if we lose a pencil, then that's not a problem because we have a bin of pencils, and that bin of pencils is always on the table when we're doing schoolwork, right? But your system might also be if we're at breakfast, we make sure that no one has a phone nearby because breakfast time is family time and we have discussions and things like that during breakfast. And so that is part of the system, right? So habits and routines are going to be things that are like hourly goals, right? And then systems are going to be the environment and the different things that we are allowed to do within that environment. So if that's true, then what the heck is a procedure? A procedure is kind of like a contingency plan. There are going to be days in which you're supposed to do schoolwork. And for those of you that are homeschooling, it's like the schoolwork that you're supposed to do during that day. For those of you that are going to a co-op or a public school or private school, there are going to be days that you come home and you're so drained from your day that you're not going to have access to the energy that you need. On those days, you're going to have a procedure. You're going to have a minimum expectation. I call those the must-dos, right? On days in which I have absolutely no energy whatsoever, and I can't even think about that project that's due in 3 weeks. What are my minimum things that I have to do? I minimally have to work on math homework for at least 30 minutes, right? I set a timer for 30 minutes. It's really hard for me it takes me 20 minutes to even set up the timer and sit down and do the darn thing. But that's my minimum. That's my must do. I have to do it for 30 minutes. And if that means that I set a timer for 5 minutes, work on it for 5 minutes, take a break, come back, do it another 5 minutes, and that's what I have to do, then that's what I have to do. I have certain must do's that I have to get done, right? Those are going to be part of the procedures. But then I'm also going to allow myself a goal and a reward system. So if I get my must do's plus whatever else I also get done, I'm going to start tracking my success. On days when I was not feeling great, but I was able to at least get my must-dos done, I'm going to give myself a way to track that. Now, I personally use a calendar and I put stickers on the calendar for the days that I hit my must-dos. If I do more than my must-dos, that's great. I'm so glad that I was able to do that. I was able to tap into that part of myself, but I don't need to put an extra sticker on there because we don't want to bank more. We want to bank minimum. That's what we want to show. The reason that we want to show that is that on the days in which we don't have a lot of energy, if we can look at those days that we were able to get the thing done, even though we felt the stress of like, I just don't have like the ability to do it, those are days in which we can kind of go, okay, that was a hard day, but I was still able to get it done, right? And we can see our success. And that's really important. And I think that's something that we kind of overlook a lot is that if you think about how difficult it is for a kid to go to school for 6 hours a day, whether that's homeschool or, school, and then on top of that, have chores and social stuff and, all of the things that are they're keeping in mind, it's important that on those days we acknowledge, hey, listen, you still got the stuff that you needed to get done, right? And we need to acknowledge that because it seems like other people can just do that and they don't have to even think about it, right? So procedures are going to be at minimum, if all you can muster to do in the morning when you are trying to get out the door and everyone's waiting on you because you hit snooze 4 times, you have to at least get up, pull the blanket on top of your bed, brush your teeth, comb your hair. You could take a shower at night, right? Put some deodorant on, put your clothes on, and be down at the table for breakfast by, such and such a day, right? So have those procedures, those must-dos, the bare minimum, have them written down. Like I literally have my daily must-dos written down in a couple of different places to remind myself at minimum, this is what you have to do. So a system is going to be the environment that you have around you to like manipulate and things that you are able to do within that particular environment. A routine is going to be like an hourly goal that you have. This is something that we need to make sure that every Friday is going to be read with the family day, or every Friday is going to be like daddy daughter tea day or whatever it is, like certain things that are hourly or like time oriented goals. And then procedures are going to be the contingency plans that you have when your energy levels are low. And so what are we going to do on days that we don't have enough energy to get the thing done? Bare minimum, we have to do that, right? And that's going to help us not give ourselves shame, because shame leads to a wall of awful. Brendan Mahan, I strongly recommend that you check that out. There's also a book called How to ADHD, which is great. Strongly recommend that you get that one as well. Um, if you look at the wall of awful, the majority of the bricks of the wall of awful are shame-oriented bricks. Why aren't you able to do this when everyone else can do it naturally? Why do you always put things off to the last minute, right? That makes it really difficult for us to do task initiation. And so having these different ways to approach a day in which our energy levels are low, our dopamine levels are low, we need to get something done, but we're not necessarily able to like tap into the hyper focus, hyperdrive that waiting to the last minute sometimes gives us. At bare minimum, we have to do this.
Okay, so first of all, if you can, try to find the county that your school is in, if you're going to like a public school or private school or charter school or whatever, and see if there are any specific dates that you can go ahead and just have at ready at hand, right? So like, when's the first day of school? Okay, so first day of school, right? When is winter break, right? So like having access to some of these things can be really helpful. Oftentimes they'll give you some information. This one doesn't have it, but a lot of them do, about state testing dates, and that's also kind of a nice thing to know as well. And then once you've got that, let's pretend we're going to like our school, right? So like, go to your school website and see, okay, what kind of dates do I have access to here? All right, so there's some information about that. I should probably take note of that particular date. There's some information about that. I should probably take note of that particular date, right? So like, you can look at your school's website and try to get some information as well. And then if you have individual teachers, those are really good too, because sometimes they give you syllabi, and those syllabi have dates as well. So take all of that information and you're going to set up 2 different calendars, all right? And I'll explain what these are separately and their relationship to each other in just a second. But let's go with the first calendar. So the first calendar, please don't look at my nails, sorry. The first calendar is going to be kind of like your academic, must do, the things I got to get done kind of calendar. These are the things that I want to make sure that I do. So you've got household chores, right? And then you've got like personal stuff that you've got. So like my birthday, and then like we're going to Chattanooga, okay? And then you've also got like different appointments that you're doing, okay? And then I just dropped mine. Okay, so anyway, so you've got different appointments, you've got all of those things. Anything that you can get from the information that was provided to you by your school and your county and your individual teachers, you're gonna try as best you can to set up on this first calendar. And it's gonna trickle in throughout the weeks. And so, you'll change it as needed, but you'll see that they all have different colors, right? So the different colors represent the different things. This is a behavior tracking calendar. And the reason that this particular thing is important is that it shows us where we're successful. And when we are successful, we need to make sure that we take note of it, because one of the things that we oftentimes forget is to make sure to mark when we accomplish our goals. Because if we don't mark when we accomplish our goals, then we have a sense of learned helplessness, and we don't want to have that sense of learned helplessness. So we need to remember when things were difficult before, but we were still able to get them done. All right. So 2 different calendars. Now, if you're asking yourself, are you a 47-year-old woman with a behavior goal calendar? Yes, I am. Why? Because it helps me to be able to have a set of things that I absolutely must do no matter what. These are my minimum. So on days when I don't have a lot of energy, I've got to at least do those. All right. I've got to at least do those. And then also some other goals that I would like to be able to accomplish even on days when I don't have a lot of energy. All right. So I keep all of my accomplished to-do lists as almost like a go-between between this is what I want to do, right? This is when I have done that thing. And just so you know, these are scratch and sniff stickers because my dopamine requires something different. And I like the fact that scratch and sniff stickers smell differently for the different days. So like some days I want to smell a cactus. Some days I want to smell a lion with a top hat. And yeah, that's literally a scratch and sniff sticker, right? And so like some days I want, so my stickers are different because dopamine should be different, right? So I also have these between to remind myself of when I was successful. Like these are certain hard days. And on some days when I'm really struggling to motivate myself, I'll go back and look at some of my to-do lists that I've accomplished. And I've accomplished a lot, right? I also have a system for days when I don't have a lot of energy. Okay. So if I get all of my must-dos and my hour goals, what are your hour goals? These are my hour goals, right? If I get all of my must-dos and my hour goals done, then I get a sticker, right? If I get my must-dos done on a different day, but I meet my hour goals, I get a smiley face. And if I get my must-dos done, maybe not hit my hour goals, but I at least get my must-dos done, right? Then I get a check mark. Okay. And as I've gotten better with this, I don't have some of my old behavior calendars. I threw them out finally. But as I get better with this, I have less and less smiley faces and less check marks and more scratch and sniff stickers, right? So when it comes to tracking behavior, it's really important that we mark not only what we want to do, but also when we were able to do it. And I also set up some instances. Look at the strawberry. I set up some instances in which I really want, after I hit a particular goal, to get a reward, right? And so like, I don't normally work on Saturdays, but I really, really wanted to give myself the reward that I was working toward, which I'm pretty sure was getting my nails done for spring break, because one of the things that I allow myself to do is if every 2 weeks I do all of my must-dos, I go and get my nails done, which clearly I need to go and get my nails. Stop judging me. I clearly need to go and get my nails done, but that's like a special treat that I give myself. So if I really want to go get my nails done right before spring break, then I'm going to work on a Saturday, right? And I'm going to try and get more stuff done than I normally would. So you set yourself up at the beginning of the year with these places. And I have this as a redundancy. So I've got like my must-dos here, but I also have them here, right? And then I have my reminders of my hour goals here and my schedule here. But all of these things are redundant and they are in a very obvious place in my office. In addition to that, I suggest everyone do this if you can. Not everyone can. But my calendar is also set up so that I get a reminder like every for each one of these appointments or each one of these requirements, I get a reminder sent to my phone. And so it dings me and it won't stop dinging me until I turn the alarm off, because that redundancy is going to be super helpful for even on the days when I'm like, I really don't want to. Like, it's going to keep annoying me until I finally kind of give in to the idea of like, okay, then I'll do that. Okay. So I know that I mentioned that I use my nails as like, if I hit my goals, hi Ozzy, if I hit my goals every 2 weeks, then I get my nails done. But you might not want to do that. I also use time as a reward. So I schedule a day that's my nope time. All right. So Saturday the 16th is my nope time. I'm basically just going to go and, go to the mountains and hike for the entire day. That's what I'm going to do. I really want to earn that nope time. I really, really want that day, right? That's a reward for me. And so I'm going to try and accomplish my goals on days when it does feel hard because I want that reward.
So that's it. That is the sort of kit and caboodle when it comes to setting up your calendar system. We'll talk about some of the other stuff too, the idea of launch pads and landing pads and things like that. But just in general, when you're setting up your year, it's really good to have all of these different systems of redundancy and also to track your successes, right? Focus on those successes so that your wall of awful doesn't become so overwhelming.